your city. Gonna play our guitars and sing you a country song. We'll all be flying higher than a jetliner. And if you want a little bang in the yin-yang, come along.
Well, come on and wonderful morning. A sports beat coming to you from the golf course here at Eagle Point. Hope you're having a great day on this Tuesday. Kevin Brockway from sitting in. Kevin, how you doing, sir?
I'm doing good. Last night I listened to Archie Miller's show, and do you know, like, before the show, they have a jingle for Don Fisher. They have, like, an actual song that they wrote about him. They need to write a song about you. They need to do a jingle for you before this. That would be that'd be pretty nice. Like, I
love it. It'd be cool. It would be cool, man. Hey, another big day coming up. Mike DeCourcy is going to join us, as well as Chronic Hoosier. So lots to get to, talk about. Indiana basketball, of course, tomorrow night in the ACC Big Ten Challenge, as long as that continues, as we've seen a couple of those already go by the wayside. Indiana football, course, number 8 in the AP Top 25 poll. College football playoff poll comes out tonight. Probably won't see there'll be some movement. We'll talk about that. Bowl situations, Fiesta Bowl, Citrus Bowl, and Kentucky out of the top 25 with a start to their season. 3 losses in a row now. So a lot's going on, man. Joey Brunk, Indiana not going to have him tomorrow night again. I was surprised. I thought that, because I don't know what's going on for certain because they don't tell us exactly. But when they initially, and me and you were talking a minute ago, they were acting like it was precautionary, as you pointed out. But it's still going in. How many games you say this is now? 5?
It's going on 5 games. So you start to wonder how serious it is. Now, Archie kind of mentioned last week about the fact that, hey, we could really, we still have to worry about the Big Ten and so forth and everything like that. And, you want to have them ready for when it really kind of matters the most. But FSU's got a lot of size, so this is going to be a tough matchup without him. And you're going to have to go with that, 3-player post rotation with Race Thompson, Trace Jackson Davis, and Jerome Hunter, who at 6'7", honestly, and with his build, I think is a little undersized to play the post. And he hasn't really quite got going to the level that you would have hoped yet. I don't know if his confidence was shaken by, not winning that starting job over Armand Franklin, but he's a guy they need to get going as a, effective 6-man, either, inside or maybe on the wing closer to his natural position.
Ryan hitting us up on the text line early, and you can do the same, 812-269-6367, 812-269-6367. You can send those in any time. But you were on the presser with Leonard Hamilton yesterday, Florida State's coach. Ryan said wanted to let you know that was a great session with Coach Hamilton. It was awesome to see you guys. But, you've got a lot of history with him. You've been around him, but he's been there. State, he's done a good job down there.
Yeah, really terrific. Yeah, Leonard Hamilton. I mean, I was a student reporter at the University of Miami when he was hired there in 1990. I covered a Big East season with him where you were 1-17, and that was back when the Big East was something in the early 1990s. I mean, they were kind of still in their heyday as a conference, so it was really tough for Miami to come in with its talent level and really compete. But he has really created a niche in that state. He took Miami to a Sweet 16 in 2000, then took the job with the Washington Wizards. You remember Michael Jordan hired him for a year, decided the NBA was not for him. It was kind of a mutual thing. I mean, he really struggled. And then he went to Florida State, and in 16 years, I mean, he had a team last year where he really could have gotten to his first Final Four. I mean, he's been to a bunch of Sweet 16s. He's been to one Elite Eight in his career, lost to John Beilein a couple of years ago in Michigan. But he really had that team last year that had Final Four potential. And then, the season gets cut short, and he's trying to get back there. They lost, 2 guys that were lottery picks from that team last year, in Patrick Williams and Devin Vassell. But he's got a really good freshman coming in, Scotty Barnes, a 5-star, 6'9", playing the point at 6'9". He 8.6 assists his first game. So that tells you about a skilled guy and their size. I mean, they're just a big team, and that's what Leonard Hamilton has always done. He's recruited size, he's recruited length. They're going to get out defensively. If you remember last year, Devontae Green had that career day at 30 points, and I think the atmosphere in Assembly Hall helped propel him to that big win, 80-64, and that was the win that probably would have got Indiana in the NCAA tournament last year had they had the tournament.
And I wonder what it's going to be like for a guy to get on that run, because that crowd, there's no doubt, he is a guy that fed off that crowd. He fed off it. He hit that shot, and then that energy was there. He is a guy that, boy, that really made a difference for him. What is that going to be like for the players who actually feed off of that? And that's not going to be there this year. That may curtail some performances. That's going to be difficult to see.
Yeah, I think so, but I think we've seen, Trace Jackson Davis had 31 the other day without a crowd in Maui, and I think you will see.
Yeah, he definitely does not need it.
Teams and players adjust. I think, Jim, as far as that's concerned, I think people, I think we've seen that even in football. I think we've seen teams create their own energy, and certainly Indiana. And you have to have that. You have to have kind of an internal motor. And I do think a lot of guys on this team have that internal motor, even in basketball.
We'll get to see one tonight that I'm interested. Luka Garza, as Iowa is hosting North Carolina at 7:35 in the ACC Big Ten Challenge. That should be a good matchup. But I thought North Carolina was really tough, and then they didn't look so tough. Either that or Texas is just that much better. But man, that's going to be an interesting matchup.
And don't forget, North Carolina struggled with Stanford too, which Indiana beat rather handily. I think that North Carolina's probably issues is taking care of the basketball. They had 24 turnovers in that Stanford game. So, but Iowa is not exactly a team that's going to blanket you and get after you. I mean, defense is kind of a afterthought there. They just try to outscore you. But when you have guys like Luka Garza and Joe Wieskamp, I think that certainly they're going to be able to put some points on the game board. So it should be an exciting game. I think it'll be a game, that'll probably be in the 70s and in the 80s.
Also, can Illinois become the second Big Ten team in a week to go to Cameron Indoor and come out with a win? That'd be something to see back-to-back Big Ten teams go down there to Durham and come out there with a win. They play the Dukies tonight. That's a 9:30.
That would be something. And what about Michigan State? I mean, they're a nice early story in the Big Ten, because a lot of people thought, without Cassius Winston, without Xavier Tillman, that they were going to take a step back. But Aaron Henry has played really well. Rocket Watts has played well. And all of a sudden, they're formidable. And I mean, that's the thing about this conference. It's going to be a bear again this year. I mean, it's going to be tough. I don't think it's, because Penn State and Maryland, I think, are taking steps back, but you're still talking about 7 to 8 teams. I mean, you look at the AP poll, you've got 6 teams in the top 25, and then you have Michigan and Indiana getting votes. So you look at those 8 teams right now that are there, Rutgers, Ohio State, Illinois, Michigan State, Iowa, and Wisconsin, who kind of had a bad loss to Marquette. But I still think they'll be there because of their experience, and Nate Rivers is a very good player. You're talking about 8 teams there that are all going to be – it's going to be a slogfest again. I mean, they're all going to be beating each other up.
Yeah, a couple other games tonight in that ACC Big Ten Challenge. Penn State is at Virginia Tech. It's a 9:00 game, and Syracuse travels to Rutgers 9:30. It'd be interesting to see Rutgers. They're both 3-0, so that'll be an interesting game. There's a game here in a little bit this afternoon at 5, Creighton at Kansas. Number 8 8 is Creighton against number 5 Kansas. So that's a pretty big matchup here in the middle of the afternoon on a Tuesday. I mean, that's a crazy afternoon matchup, man.
Yeah. Peck, pick up some seed. That's the Creighton cry. If you've ever been to Omaha, they love their Blue Jays there. I went to Omaha several times to cover College World Series, and I did cover in NCAA Regional there once in 2012. What a great city. Love Omaha. I'm a big fan. Casio Steakhouse, and they love Creighton, and they really get into it. And here's something I heard. Speaking of Creighton, from a friend of mine who's a recruiting contact out in Florida. He said that one of the main reasons why Mason Miller went to Creighton was because his grandparents are in South Dakota. It's a shorter drive. Watch him play, and that was a big factor. Mike Miller, of course, plays high school basketball in South Dakota as well. That's where Florida got him from Billy Donovan. Went up there to recruit him and steal him away from Kansas. back in the early 2000s. And now his son Mason is going to play closer to his family. So that was apparently a big factor in the recruitment. I was told to someone.
Well, it makes a lot of sense. I mean, there's always a reason. There's so much that goes in because you got to spend 4 years at a place. But that kind of brings up something, and I don't want to get off on this tangent. But how about Scott Satterfield down there at Louisville yesterday? He kind of stepped in the pickle bucket, man. He basically, I guess, interviewed with South Carolina, but did not tell his AD. Nobody knew anything about it, which that's a little unusual for a school to do that and not talk to an AD. Isn't it?
Yeah, usually you ask for permission, and that did not happen. And then Satterfield kind of did it on his own, and I guess the media reports came out that he was caught on his own. And then that long rambling press conference yesterday.
It was terrible.
I mean, what are you doing, man? It was like a Will Ferrell sketch or something like that. Him going off on these tangents and stuff. And I mean, I don't know. What are you doing? And you're talking about family or whatever.
More cowbell, man. Needs more cowbell.
You've got to find a way. If you're going to do something that's surreptitious, you better be sure you got the job. Now they gave it to Frank Beamer's kid, Shane Beamer, and he's going to do a good job there.
That was probably. I don't know that he had any interest in that job, really. I mean, because he knows, for one, I bet he's got an eyeball on that North Carolina job. Program is kind of doing better already under Mac, and Mac's going to be there forever. He's in his, late 60s?
Yeah.
He's not going to be there forever. So, yeah, I promise you, he's got his eyeball on that job right there, if I was guessing. But that's just a hunch. But that's something. Now, and I bring that up because Tom Allen, I promise you, I'm going to be shocked if there aren't people that come after him at some point after the season. I don't know, because his contract is he's got that long extension. So it's out there, not the contract stop anybody from talking, but I just don't see Tom Allen ever going anywhere, at least not in any foreseeable future. He is building something and he loves it. He loves these kids and he loves his program, but they're going to have to pay him.
Yeah, I think with this group, you're talking about a 2 to 3 year window to win a Big Ten title with this group. So I think that's something that you look at, and I think it's they've got a really good chance there to be able to do it.
We'll talk more about that and possible bowl destinations for Indiana, lots of other stuff. The great Mike DeCourcy is going to join us next. You're listening to Indiana Sports Beat. We're coming to you from hole number 6 here at the Golf Club at Eagle Point Studios. Back with more right after this.
Hello, everybody. Jim Coyle from Indiana Sports Beat. When I'm not covering the Hoosiers, you can find me at Bubba's 33 in Clarksville, located on the northeast corner of I-65 at Veterans Parkway. Bubba's 33 has hand-tossed pizzas, bold burgers, and ice-cold beer from a select list of local craft brewers. An incredible food selection, all made fresh daily. Whether you're meeting the team for that post-win meal in the family dining area or meeting friends for happy hour to watch the game on one of Bubba's 50 TVs. Bubba's 33 in Clarksville. Pizza, burgers, beer.
We all want a winning smile for those championship photos, and that's exactly what you will get at Reynolds Family Dentistry in Sellersburg. Reynolds Family Dentistry has been serving the dental needs of Hoosier families for over 30 years. Let Doctors Roger and Jay Reynolds take care of your family. Just off of I-65 at 809 South Indiana Avenue in Sellersburg. Call 812-246-3368. That's Reynolds Family Dentistry, 812-246-3368.
Hey, this is Jim Coyle with Indiana Sports Beat Radio. We're now a part of the Rivals Network. TheHoosier.com is where you'll find complete coverage of the Indiana Hoosiers, as well as coverage of the Big Ten. Simply go to TheHoosier.com and sign up. It's free. You can also catch Indiana Sports Beat Radio there each day at your convenience, or you can find it any place you podcast or on this station each weekday. If we're not on the station where you live, we should be. Ask for Indiana Sports Beat Radio. Now that warm weather has arrived, it's time to hit the links, and there's no better place than the Golf Club at Eagle Point in Bloomington. Voted best golf course by the readers of the Bloomington Herald-Times, the Golf Club at Eagle Point is under new ownership, has new fairways and bunkers, and it's open to the public. When the round's over, there's cold beer and a full menu at the Eagle Point Pub and Bistro. Call 812-824-1100 to make a tee time. That's 812-824-1100. The Golf Club at Eagle Point in Bloomington.
Does your bank offer the personal service of a community bank combined with big bank products that you expect? I'm Dane Chandler, Banking Center Manager with Banterra, and with our bank, you get the best of both worlds. Our easy-to-use mobile app includes conveniences like mobile check deposit. We offer competitive CD and money market rates, smart mortgage options, and unmatched business products and services. Switching to Banterra is easy. Stop by our locations to learn more. Member FDIC, Equal Housing Lender.
The college and pro football seasons bring friends together, and Leroy's Tavern is a place to watch all the games every week with the NFL Sunday Ticket while enjoying $1 Busch Light drafts every Sunday, Monday, and Thursday. Leroy's Tavern also features a $6 daily lunch special from 10:30 a.m. to 1 p.m. Monday through Friday, featuring a sandwich, fries, or onion rings, or a 7-inch pizza and a non-alcoholic drink for just $6. Be part of the karaoke fun every Friday and Saturday night. Leroy's Tavern, a West Side tradition for 50 years at 2659 Mount Vernon Avenue.
Today's guest is brought to you by Reynolds Family Dentistry of Sellersburg. You need $1 million smile for those championship photos, and that's exactly what you'll get with Reynolds Family Dentistry.
I'm on my way from misery to happiness today.
Welcome back, Indiana Sports Beat, coming to you here on this Tuesday. Of course, joined now by Mike DeCourcy from the Sporting News, Big Ten and Fox. Michael, how are you, sir?
I am well, Jim. How are you?
Cannot complain. Of course, Kevin Brockway with us as well. I'm sitting here reading about this bet on the Washington football team from this anonymous Indiana person that you tweeted about. I mean, man, that's a nice little hit, huh?
Money well spent, I guess. I am not a gambler personally, and I don't endorse it. If people want to do with their money what they want to do with it, go for it. That's up to them. It's their money, but it worked out for that gentleman.
Wow. Yeah, I was mad at myself for I'm not a big bettor either. I like talking about it and play with it and pick the spreads, whatnot, but I don't like to put my own money down. But I was really disappointed in myself that I did not bet on Indiana against Wisconsin because I was convinced they're going to win the game. I wasn't worried about the points. I was telling people, I said, take the money line, bet Indiana, and boy, that would have paid off handsomely.
Absolutely. What was the spread on that?
I think it ended at like 13.5, Kevin. Is that right? Something like that, right around 14 points.
Wow.
You know, I didn't follow it during the week. It went up that high. Wow. So, because it started at 10. I remember it started at 10, and I kind of thought maybe it would, if anything, I thought maybe it would go down a little bit. But I guess the money came in heavy on Wisconsin, and that would have been a good play.
That's the thing about gambling is after the game, we all bet 100%. Oh, I would have bet that.
Yeah. Oh, I can pick 10-team parlays after, man. I'm a terror after the fact. It's great. Yeah. But no, I also saw college basketball getting underway. We got the ACC Big Ten Challenge coming up. We've got Kentucky falling out of the top 25, losing 3 straight. This COVID year has been, I'll be honest with you, it's been fun because it has just taken the sports world, putting it in a bottle and just shaking it all up. And it's changed everything. And it's been fun, I think.
Well, I think it's been great to have sports back, without a doubt. It has really made it easier to be in this circumstance for, obviously for those who've gotten ill. It certainly has, there's not much that sports can do to save that. But for those of us who are just coping with the isolation and the lack of mobility and those elements, the fact that we've been able to have sports return has been a real boost. And college basketball start, it's been wonderful. The season to date has been really entertaining. On Sunday afternoon they played back to back games on ESPN with Villanova, Texas, the crosstown shootout between Cincinnati and Xavier, and then Kentucky, Georgia Tech. And the Kentucky Georgia Tech game was the only one of the 3 that was not terrific. The Texas Villanova game was one of the best games of the college basketball season. It was marvelous. And I think it's been great to see that. And the ACC Big Ten Challenge coming up, tonight and tomorrow just accelerates that. There are good matchups up and down the list. It should be very entertaining, and it's also for both leagues. It's a very important circumstance. At least breaking even in these games is fundamental for both sides, and if you can control it or dominate it, it can really set your league up to do well in terms of access to the NCAA tournament in March.
What are your early thoughts on Indiana, Mike? Obviously they go to Maui, they take 2 of 3, 20-point loss to Texas, but then 2 double-digit wins.
I think they've played very well. I think they have to be pleased with where they are. Most of the things they need to do to be good have worked. They could probably shoot the basketball a little better than they have from distance. That's an aspect that they're going to need to do better to continue to win. They're shooting under 30% right now, and that number isn't going to hold up against the best Big Ten teams. It has to be better, without a doubt. But they're getting Trace a lot of action. He's being very efficient. They're running really nice stuff for him. They're getting great balance from their offense, and defensively they've been effective as well. Texas blew them away, and that would and it was that was a hard one to deal with because they were never competitive. They were completely dysfunctional on offense, and they got handled by 22 points, and that's a problem. Except that you come back the next day and you dominate a Stanford team that's a Pac-12 contender, and that had just taken North Carolina into the final seconds the day before. So a lot of the disappointment or the concern that came out of Texas is wiped away by 2 things. 1, the Stanford performance, and 2, the fact that Texas is now showing itself to be a top. I mean, when they play Villanova, which is a top 3, top 4 team, down to the final seconds, you have to think that Texas is possibly, a top 5, top 7, top 8 team somewhere in there. So you don't want to get beaten as badly as they did, but it was a tough matchup for them because of Texas's size and length. It didn't go well for them. They didn't find a way around it, but then they recovered very nicely against a Stanford team that had played terrific basketball in the Maui Invitational prior to the Hoosiers coming to see them.
Like, one thing I've noticed about this program, just in the short time that I've covered it, is they're pretty good in close games under Archie, but every once in a while they have these games where they're just not in it at all. I think they had about 4 or 5 or 6 in the Big Ten last year where they lost by 15 or more, usually on the road, and then you have one pop up. I mean, is that just a sign of a little bit of inconsistency, or is that the shooting, or what do you think when they have those kind of games where they're just, not in it?
Well, it's hard for me to extrapolate back to last year's team because it was a different team, and there were concerns for me with last year's roster that aren't present now. So it's hard for me to say that I'm going to carry. I'm not going to say you can't. I'm just not sure I'm ready to carry over from last year to this year because of what happened against Texas. Now, if they have the same problem at Florida State, which is a very good team and a hard team to play against, and obviously it's not going to be as difficult environment as you ordinarily would have, but neither was it a difficult environment with the Texas game, and they still got smoked. So I think that you need to see more of that happen to know that it's an Archie trend and not a previous Hoosiers trend, let's say. So we'll see. That Texas team is really good. They are one of the biggest, most dynamic teams in the country, and what had always held them back was a real lack of consistency at the guard position. And that's not happening right now. They've got multiple guards playing good basketball now. It obviously starts with Matt Coleman, who was very good in the game against the Hoosiers, had 16 points in 35 minutes. And then the young man Courtney Ramey, he was solid against the Hoosiers, and then was fantastic in the Villanova game. And Andrew Jones coming back from the illness he had. It's one of the wonderful stories in college basketball. So they've got much more consistency now from their backcourt than they've had in a very long time. And then you add in a front court that almost no one can deal with in the college side in terms of the size and dynamism that they have. It's a hard matchup. I'm not going to excuse how poorly the Hoosiers played, but I am going to point out that they were great the day before and great the day after. So if you're great 2 out of 3 days against high-level competition in college basketball, I mean, think about it. In the Big Ten, if you win 2 out of every 3 of your tough games in the Big Ten, you're in the contention for the title, as long as you don't screw up the easy games.
Yeah, we'll get another test of it tomorrow night as they take on Florida State down in Tallahassee. They'll get to see, because they'll still be shorthanded. They'll be minus Joey Brunk, and I have not seen, but I'm assuming they're still without Al Durham. So they're to be a little shorthanded, which it's not giving them a lot of Trace Jackson a lot of help inside. So they've had to bring in Jerome Hunter, which he's a wing guy, but he's come in and tried to help out, and it helped them against Stanford, it seemed.
Yeah, I think that he's capable of doing that, and what he does is gives you a challenging matchup, because your big guy either your big guy has to go out and guard him on the perimeter, or your big guy has to come out of the game. So that's a look that a lot of teams have gone to. In some ways, he's not obviously Draymond Green, but it's that type of approach with your offense. If your guy can battle underneath and defend against bigger players, then you can go with that smaller group from time to time. And Jerome, that's a way for him to get more minutes on the court, is being able to play either the 3 or the 4. So I was impressed by what he did, and I think that's an important step for the Hoosiers, especially with Joey injured.
Kevin, we got fun coming up on the football side. We don't know. I think it's looking like Ohio State might get their game in, Mike. And if they do, of course, they'll be going to the Big Ten. But regardless, I think it's going to be fun. Now, there's been talk, and I haven't seen anything more, about potentially moving the second and third place games to Lucas Oil on that Friday before, which that would be a cool weekend at Lucas Oil to see those 6 teams play. That would be a fun deal.
Yeah, I whatever they think is the ideal format for that final weekend is, getting it in is important. One of the things that came up yesterday in regard to that is the idea of possibly trying to resurrect the Minnesota-Wisconsin game that got pushed back or canceled, I guess, over COVID. Trying to get that back, and obviously, if you did that, you can't go cross in every game. You'd have to have someone in the East agree to play someone else in the East, and there are some games because of Maryland and some other teams in the East that had to miss a game that would be available. So if you're going to have that last weekend, I kind of really like that idea of, instead of just playing the cross in every single game, trying to save a game like Minnesota, Wisconsin. I'm all for that. I think that would be it's the functional equivalent of if the IU Purdue game were off the board and you had the opportunity to resurrect that. You'd certainly want that to happen. So I hope that the Big Ten is flexible in that. I know from what I've been reading and from what I can use my spidey sense on, I don't think there's any circumstance in which they're going to keep Ohio State out of the Big Ten title game. I just can't see it, especially given that that they have the opportunity to play in the playoff if they win that game. I expect, as of now, Michigan and Ohio State to happen, because Michigan did practice yesterday, so I expect it to happen. But if something were to come up that would prevent that, I think that the Big Ten is going to amend their rules. I have a hard time seeing them take Ohio State out of the Big Ten title game with a perfect record.
That's going to be an interesting scenario, Kevin. I mean, wow. And not that Indiana deserves to be in there or anyone else, but it's just going to open up a can of worms of how you structured it to start. And now, because going forward from now on, every time something doesn't work out for the team you want it to be, then you're going to have people fighting for that same type of attention.
This is obviously a different situation, and I would say that if Indiana had lost to someone else in the league, let's just say Wisconsin, and had beaten Ohio State, I don't think there wouldn't be the same impetus to do that, because one, Ohio State would no longer be perfect. Plus, you would be dealing a blow to Indiana that wouldn't be just. But functionally, Ohio State has a 2-game lead on Indiana. If the game is played on Saturday and Ohio State wins, I believe Ohio State still goes, right? Because they would have the same number of losses in the tiebreaker. I don't think they would have the same number of wins, so maybe I don't know what the tiebreaker is now.
Yeah, they just have to show up. That's all they have to do. It's like NASCAR. They just have to show up and they're in.
Yeah, so that's part of the reason why I feel that if by some circumstance they don't play Ohio State, Michigan, I think it's the right thing to do. If it were an injustice to Indiana with what they've accomplished, then it wouldn't be right. But it's not, because they played head-to-head, and Ohio State did win the game.
See, Kevin, that's why we have Mike on. He makes it that. I mean, he makes such a perfect sense. And it is. I mean, you have to acknowledge, I think even as Indiana fans, they would love, and who wouldn't want to see Indiana there? It's great. But I think they're going to wind up getting there pretty soon on their own merit.
I will say this, that, a year ago they played in a terrific bowl, and they played very well and didn't handle it at the end. But I think that Indiana, as long as we have big bowls, and we're seeing some of the smaller ones get shaved off, including the Sun Bowl, which I guess is probably the most high-profile bowl that has been eliminated to date. But as long as there are some big bowls out there, I used going to one of them as long as they get through this weekend. And they're going to, it's going to be a great experience for them, and they're going to give a good account of themselves. As I've said on Jim, on your show many times, this is a very good football team. This is not a team playing over its head, or taking advantage of a weakened schedule. None of that. They're very good. They, obviously better with Michael than they were, than they might be now, but they're very good at a lot of places, a lot of positions, and structurally in terms of, culture and all of that. It's not only a good team, it's going to become a good football program.
Yeah, Kevin, we talked about bowl games. Go ahead.
I think when you're looking at bowls, I mean, New Year's Six bowl would be a nice goal to the end of the season if you could go to, say, the Fiesta or the Orange Bowl or the Peach Bowl, like one of those 6, and finish in the top 10 in the college playoff rankings. And they can do that if they just run the table. If they win these next 2, if they beat Purdue and they beat Iowa in the crossover game, I think that would put them in pretty good position.
Yeah, and those are both real challenges. Purdue not having the year that they'd imagined, but certainly capable, and the rivalry changes the chemistry. There are those rivalry games are almost always highly competitive. Even if there's a slight performance imbalance, and then of course Iowa, a very capable team. So it's going to be a real challenge for the Hoosiers to get both of those, but they're also going in as the superior team. And if they play to their level, great possibility to win.
Mike, you're a sense, but not all national guys are. They don't seem to do it that way. But how important is this year and what Indiana is doing right now? Like just winning out. They don't have to go to the Big Ten Championship, but they went out. Probably the Fiesta. National pundits seeing them more as an elite program, and including the
well, Jim, in
a national conversation right now.
Yeah, it was around 2000. It's sometime in the mid 2000s. I can't remember the exact year. It was when Jerry DiNardo was coach at IU. I was assigned to do a piece that was part of a. Sporting News looks at the programs that can't get off the deck kind of thing is basically what it was. And somebody else went to, I don't even remember what the other schools involved were. Rutgers might have been one prior to their Big Ten Renaissance, their Big East Renaissance, back in the 2000s. They might have been one of them. But it was the programs that just couldn't get it done. And I came over and I talked to Jerry, and Jerry's great. I mean, a colleague now and wonderful. And but it was he took the job, and it was going to be a hard job, and it proved to be a hard job. And we've seen coach after coach go through there. And I think it started to turn about 4 or 5 years ago. At least started to turn north a little bit. They started to recruit better, and you started to see the change. But it really has accelerated since Tom Allen has taken over. And it's difficult to build a culture, a football culture, in a program that's not had it before. It's a real challenge to do that. And so that's why continuing to succeed this year, when you've got the attention and you've certainly got a roster that's capable, and you're going to play against at least 2 teams that if you play great, you can win. And then, of course, you don't know who you're going to play in a bowl, but you feel like at that point that if you get to that game, having won all but one game and lost that close to one of the best teams in the country, that you can play with anybody. And so that convinces the next group of young players that are out there to be recruited that Indiana is an option for football. Great university, great location, great community. And no, I'm not going up there just to get a good education and get my tail kicked in football. I'm going up there to get a great education in one of the best conferences in the country, at one of the best public universities in the country. And I'm going to play on a football team that's for real, that's got a chance, that they can win. And especially in the division that they're in, they have to get enough players that are not only, they get fortunate with a guy, or they see a guy, steal a guy, so to speak. No one else got him, but we did. You have to get some of those guys that they want, that the others want, that Penn State wants, or Michigan wants, or Michigan State wants. You have to get some of those guys too, and that's what this kind of season can do for IU. They can get those guys to say, yeah, I kind of like Bloomington, and I really like Coach Allen, and I'm not going there just to get coached up and to enjoy my 4 years. I'm going there not only for that, but I can win. And you start getting those guys, and then that's when you have a football program and a football culture that can sustain itself.
Absolutely. Mike, all the games coming up.
I'm sorry, I lost you there for a second, Jim.
I was just saying, thanks as always, man. We greatly appreciate you. And I hope you have a great week. Work. Mark. Oh, I think we're cutting out there. I think we lost him. But thanks a lot to Mike for always joining us. We appreciate him. We're having a technical problem for some reason there today, but we got a lot more coming up. Chronic Hoosier is going to join us next, Kevin, and we'll talk about all this, lay it all out, these bowl scenarios and everything else. You're listening to Indiana Sports Beat coming to you from the Golf Club at Eagle Point Studios. Back with more right after this.
Hello, everybody. Jim Coyle from Indiana Sports Beat. When I'm not covering the Hoosiers, you can find me at Bubba's 33 in Clarksville, located on the northeast corner of I-65 at Veterans Parkway. Bubba's 33 has hand-tossed pizzas, bold burgers, and ice-cold beer from a select list of local craft brewers. An incredible food selection, all made fresh daily. Whether you're meeting the team for that post-win meal in the family dining area or meeting friends for happy hour to watch the game on one of Bubba's 50 TVs. Bubba's 33 in Clarksville. Pizza, burgers, beer.
We all want a winning smile for those championship photos, and that's exactly what you will get at Reynolds Family Dentistry in Sellersburg. Reynolds Family Dentistry has been serving the dental needs of Hoosier families for over 30 years. Let Doctors Roger and Jay Reynolds take care of your family. Just off of I-65 at 8
Point is under new ownership, has new fairways and bunkers, and it's open to the public. When the round's over, there's cold beer and a full menu at the Eagle Point Pub and Bistro. Call 812-824-1100 to make a tea time. That's 812-824-1100. The Golf Club at Eagle Point in Bloomington.
Does your bank offer the personal service of a community bank combined with big bank products that you expect? I'm Dane Chandler, Banking Center Manager with Banterra, and with our bank, you get the best of both worlds. Our easy-to-use mobile app includes conveniences like mobile check deposit, We offer competitive CD and money market rates, smart mortgage options, and unmatched business products and services. Switching to Banterra is easy. Stop by our locations to learn more. Member FDIC, Equal Housing Lender.
The college and pro football seasons bring friends together, and Leroy's Tavern is a place to watch all the games every week with the NFL Sunday Ticket while enjoying $1 Busch Light drafts every Sunday, Monday, and Thursday. Leroy's Tavern also features a $6 daily lunch special from 10:30 a.m. to 1 p.m. Monday through Friday, featuring a sandwich, fries, or onion rings, or a 7-inch pizza and a non-alcoholic drink for just $6. Be part of the karaoke fun every Friday and Saturday night. Leroy's Tavern, a West Side tradition for 50 years at 2659 Mount Vernon Avenue.
Today's guest is brought to you by Reynolds Family Dentistry of Sellersburg. You need $1 million smile for those championship photos, and that's exactly what you'll get with Reynolds Family Dentistry.
Welcome back, Indiana Sports Beat, here on this Tuesday, coming to you from hole number 6 here at the Golf Club at Eagle Point Studios. And that means Chronic Hoosier. Chronic, how are you doing, man?
I cannot complain, man. Cannot complain. How's it going today?
We're getting there. We're starting the week. We got a lot of games coming up. You got basketball tomorrow and the bucket. It's a bucket week. Haven't really focused on that a lot yet, but man, it's a big game for Indiana.
It is a big game. I feel like it's kind of gotten overshadowed a little bit with some of the drama going on between Ohio State and Michigan, whether or not they're going to be able to pull that one off. What the consequences would be in the event that it doesn't, how that would impact Indiana. And, kind of lost in this is the biggest rivalry of the year for the Hoosiers. A year where Indiana certainly looks like they're poised to hang another eye on the bucket. But I'll tell you what, man, I've seen a lot of folks around that are maybe a little overconfident. I certainly don't think that's the case within the locker room over Memorial Stadium by any means. But I'll tell you what, as great of a season as this has been, I've been an Indiana football fan long enough in my lifetime to realize that everybody's record heading into this game doesn't mean squat, to be totally honest with you. It's a clean slate. It's the old Oaken bucket, man. Likely the last game of the season for Purdue, certainly going to be their last game, actually. They got a whole lot riding on this one. And you got a coach who's probably a little sore up there in West Lafayette on the way things have played out and the way some of his team has kind of fallen off the wagon as the season's gone along there. So I fully expect to see a really tough football game for Indiana here this Saturday.
Yeah, Kevin, there's always some fear when you're going into a rivalry game and you've got a lot to play for. You've got a lot to look forward to. There's the other team, they got nothing. All they got is you and taking you down. That's something that the players have to be aware of, the coaches have to be aware of, because that's all that would make Purdue's season is this game right here.
It amazes me that a team with David Bell and Rondale Moore at the same time just isn't better. But I know the quarterback play has been kind of inconsistent with Aiden O'Connell, and now I think he left the team. So now they have Jack Plummer again, and they just haven't had, and the defense has just really been, terrible. And I think, George Karlaftis got COVID. He's their best defensive player. So that's hurt them a lot, but they just really can't stop anyone. I think that's been their big issue most of the season. And the Minnesota game, you remember a couple of weeks ago where, they kind of thought they had it at the end. They thought they had the game-winning touchdown. They didn't. And I think they allowed that to take a lot of the wind out of their sails. And I've had a bunch of guys opt out, too, for Rutgers when they blew the 10-point lead. A lot of confounding losses for that program.
Yeah, Chronic, it's a strange fun one.
You cut out on me. What was that again? I'm so sorry.
Yeah, I said it has been a strange season, but a strange fun one, and one that's yet to unfurl itself because we're still waiting to see what's going to happen with Ohio State. Of course, we expect that they're going to play, but we just talked to Mike DeCourcy. One of the things they're looking at, and this will be cool, is as having the second and third place Big Ten games on Friday at Lucas Oil Stadium, in which if Indiana's obviously not in the championship, they will play probably Iowa in a second place game.
Yeah, that certainly stands to be a really intriguing matchup. It's basically locked in at this point on both sides of the equation. It could end up being, the first opportunity that Indiana has to play a team or to get a victory over a team so far that's got a winning record on the season. That's the one blemish as they're squarely in the conversation for a New Year's Six bowl right now. Is despite the historic wins Indiana's been able to achieve this season over the likes of Michigan, Wisconsin, and whatnot, Penn State. Quite frankly, those wins haven't held up super great over the course of the season. So that Iowa ball club certainly looks to be a real tough challenge, and ultimately the final hurdle if Indiana's going to find a way into whether it be the Fiesta or any of the other the New Year's Six bowl games. But again, if you're Indiana, it's certainly surreal to be talking about those possibilities right now, but all that goes out the window unless you handle your business this Saturday against the Boilermakers. Feel pretty comfortable with it. I like where Indiana's at with the line on that game. The one caveat there, and the one thing that kind of gave everybody a scare last weekend, is as good as Jake Tuttle looked at managing the ball game and coming in and just playing really poised, really smart football for Indiana. They got to find a way to keep him healthy, because you want to talk about throwing everything into chaos. If that line can't keep him healthy after this weekend and then beyond, it really would be a disappointing end to it. And, it looked like for a second there, he probably got put into concussion protocol, had to go do the test when they took him to the tent and then back in the locker room. Obviously, he would have had to pass before he's able to return to the field. But I think that was just indicative of some of the shots he was taking there, dirty or not. He was getting banged up a little bit. And now that you're in QB2 in your depth chart right now, you really don't want to have to go a whole lot further down from there. And, as Kevin was saying earlier, this is one of those games where Purdue's going to throw everything, including the kitchen sink at you, and they would relish the opportunity to knock out your quarterback, to knock you out of conversation for those bowls. So really, really important that Indiana stays focused and stays clean and healthy through the bucket.
It was 2007 or 2017, I think. A fake punt almost cost Indiana the game. Cost them the game up there in Lafayette. So yeah, they like to pull it out, Kevin. And that's Jeff Brom is known for defensively at what he has done, but he also has to resort to that. You mentioned you got David Bell, you got Rondale Moore. They have not had success. Other methods.
Jim, actually, Purdue this year has had some problems on special teams too. They've had punts blocked, field goals blocked. They have not been good in that area. Dellinger's missed some, kicks all season. So they have problems in that area of the ball. But we do know this, that Jeff Brom is really good about, getting the ball to his playmakers in space. It'll be interesting because, Indiana's defense has been so great other than Ohio State all season long. But I still think Purdue has some skill guys that could cause them problems if Indiana doesn't really come in locked in and focused on the defensive end of the ball. And then offensively, we'll see what happens with Jack Tuttle in the second start if he makes improvements. Let's be honest. I mean, Jack probably should have had 3 touchdown passes, and we discussed the Miles Marshall drop with him, and he just basically said, hey, look, he defended his guy, which I thought was really good. He said, look, he's going to be a great player here, and these kind of things happen, and you move on. But, really, I thought Jack did a lot of good things. But as Chronic mentioned, you got to be careful, man, especially scrambling outside the pocket. He took that blow to the head. Still think that should have been a targeting call. Don't know if it wasn't on Sanborn. But you just have to be really careful because, behind you got Dexter Williams, who's a true freshman.
Chronic, another thing I've been wondering, with the success of Indiana football, will the fans come out next year in droves, and will they stay there for these games? Because this is a great product that they're putting out there. They don't have the fortune of going there this year. And does that maybe create some anticipation in that regard?
I would certainly think so. And, I think this was poised to be a season that possibly set attendance records, at least in the last couple of decades for Indiana, coming off the heels of last season's success. And I was just having a conversation with a good friend of mine, IU alum, long time fan and season ticket holder. And, as we were discussing just how unfortunate it was that nobody's been able to take part in this season, at least in person in Memorial Stadium, and all the tailgates and the traditions that go along with that. But just the optimism of getting to a point where it's safe to get everybody back in the stadium next season. And just what a relief that's going to be to get there. So I would anticipate that not only, do you see increased interest and demand for those tickets, personally, I'm already planning my tailgate meals. Like literally, I'm making purchases of that big pot I bought to cook my crab legs in. One of my sales pitch to my wife and justifying this was think of how we can expand the tailgate menu next season and all the things that we can do on site. If I just get a portable burner and everything else. So I think there's going to be a lot of that across the country. And, whether it's going to your favorite sporting events, concerts, the restaurants perhaps you haven't visited in person in a while. I think that is something that's going to be a tremendous uptick for the program and probably couldn't come at a better time, to be totally honest, because, with the financial straits that athletic departments across the country are looking at, once the vaccine gets widely distributed and we start to return to some semblance of normal, I can certainly imagine there's going to be a hard press from the ticket office getting those offers in your inboxes to get people to lock up their seats for the next year. And I wouldn't be the least bit surprised if we see a Memorial Stadium as full as we've ever seen, hopefully for the better part of the season next year, because it doesn't look like this football team's success is going anywhere anytime soon. And I, for one, am certainly excited to get back in there and participate it from the stands.
Yeah, we all know Indiana is a basketball school, but the thing about football is, man, it's outside. So you've got all the fans, the tailgate. You don't have the tailgating for basketball. So you don't have that party atmosphere and then all that goes along with it. And when you have a successful, well-attended tailgate and all those, it just creates energy that doesn't stop. And it will actually carry forward. Indiana hasn't been able to enjoy that, but hopefully some new traditions can get started next year.
Well, and that is all of Indiana's potential basically in athletics right there. I mean, you look at where your ceiling is from a revenue standpoint, and it pretty much rests solely on the shoulders of football. Obviously, you'd love to see all the sports sell out all the time, every home game, but realistically, there's only so much more that you can achieve there. Bart Kaufman can only put so many people in there, and only so many people are going to be willing to go out in those early March games. Indiana women's basketball, they've been bringing in record crowds to Assembly Hall up to this point. But, just the price point of those tickets, even if you were to fill it up, there's only so much potential in revenue growth. This has almost exclusively been the opportunity for Indiana football to seize and achieve. And it's there. It's there right now, and I think it's really unfortunate just from a departmental standpoint that they weren't able to cash in this year. But on the flip side, we're watching Indiana get flexed to the bigger networks, to the primetime spots now, and there's a bump in pay from that. So, if they can roll this success into next season and they can sell those tickets and they can continue to stay, in the ABC, the ESPN, the FS1 slots for broadcasting, it's only going to unlock success and potential for all the programs across the campus. I've talked to several of the coaches in some of the non-revenue sports and the Olympic sports over there, talking with Steve Aird about just what a rising tide does for all boats across that department and how they're all relishing. You see them every Saturday congratulating Coach Allen for the win. That's not just something that they're doing because it's the good thing for the department to do. They're genuinely excited for the success of the coach, but they're also excited because it makes their department stronger. It brings greater financial health to the rest of the department and just solidifies everybody else's position over there. So this is something that's been on it's been on the tongues of a lot of administrators for years is if we could just do this, then how much better would it be? Well, they're doing it now. Unfortunately, the cash registers are closed as far as cashing in. But I fully anticipate those scenarios and will exist, if not increase, in the coming season.
Absolutely. And speaking of bump in pay, I expect one will be coming for Tom Allen shortly, too, as teams will be coming after him without doubt. Chronic, I can't thank you enough, as always, brother. We appreciate you.
Is there another man in the country who's looking for a bigger pay raise right now than Kane Womack?
Oh, that's not. Yeah, I haven't got to talk about. there's no way he's not going to be the coordinator of the year. I mean, that dude, 33, youngest coordinator, and is absolutely killing it.
I tell you what, man, Scott Dolson, pay that man.
Appreciate you, brother. Have a good week.
You as well, fellas. Beat Purdue.
Kyle Kuzner joining us here on Indiana Sports Beat as he always does. Yeah, we'll talk about that when we come back, Kevin. Man, Kane Womack, he is killing it. They're going to be coming after him as well. You're listening to Indiana Sports Beat. We're coming to you from the Golf Club Eagle Point Studios. Back with more right after this.
Hello, everybody. Jim Coyle from Indiana Sports Beat. When I'm not covering the Hoosiers, you can find me at Bubba's 33 in Clarksville, located on the northeast corner of I-65 at Veterans Parkway. Bubba's 33 has hand-tossed pizzas, bold burgers, and ice-cold beer from a select list of local craft brewers. An incredible food selection, all made fresh daily. Whether you're meeting the team for that post-win meal in the family dining area or meeting friends for happy hour to watch the game on one of Bubba's 50 TVs. Bubba's 33 in Clarksville. Pizza, burgers, beer.
We all want a winning smile for those championship photos, and that's exactly what you will get at Reynolds Family Dentistry in Sellersburg. Reynolds Family Dentistry has been serving the dental needs of Hoosier families for over 30 years. Let Doctors Roger and Jay Reynolds take care of your family. Just off of I-65 at 809 South Indiana Avenue in Sellersburg. Call 812-246-3368. That's Reynolds Family Dentistry, 812-246-3368.
Hey, this is Jim Coyle with Indiana Sports Beat Radio. We're now a part of the Rivals Network. TheHoosier.com is where you'll find complete coverage of the Indiana Hoosiers, as well as coverage of the Big Ten. Simply go to TheHoosier.com and sign up. It's free. You can also catch Indiana Sports Beat Radio there each day at your convenience, or you can find it any place you podcast or on this station each weekday. If we're not on the station where you live, we should be. Ask for Indiana Sports Beat Radio. Now that warm weather has arrived, it's time to hit the links, and there's no better place than the Golf Club at Eagle Point in Bloomington. Voted best golf course by the readers of the Bloomington Herald-Times, the Golf Club at Eagle Point is under new ownership, has new fairways and bunkers, and it's open to the public. When the round's over, there's cold beer and a full menu at the Eagle Point Pub and Bistro. Call 812-824-1100 to make a tee time. That's 812-824-1100. The Golf Club at Eagle Point in Bloomington.
Does your bank offer the personal service of a community bank combined with big bank products that you expect? I'm Dane Chandler, Banking Center Manager with Banterra, and with our bank, you get the best of both worlds. Our easy-to-use mobile app includes conveniences like mobile check deposit. We offer competitive CD and money market rates, smart mortgage options, and unmatched business products and services. Switching to Banterra is easy. Stop by our locations to learn more. Member FDIC, Equal Housing Lender.
The college and pro football seasons bring friends together, and Leroy's Tavern is a place to watch all the games every week with the NFL Sunday Ticket while enjoying $1 Busch Light drafts every Sunday, Monday, and Thursday. Leroy's Tavern also features a $6 daily lunch special from 10:30 a.m. to 1 p.m. Monday through Friday, featuring a sandwich, fries, or onion rings, or a 7-inch pizza and a non-alcoholic drink for just $6. Be part of the karaoke fun every Friday and Saturday night. Leroy's Tavern, a West Side tradition for 50 years at 2659 Mount Vernon Avenue.
This segment is brought to you by Bubba's 33 in Clarksville. Pizza, burgers, beer.
Welcome back. Indiana Sports Beat coming here on this Tuesday from the Golf Club Eagle Point Studios. As always, Kevin Brockway sitting in. Just finished up with Chronic Hoosier and Mike DeCourcy on before that. Lots to talk about. What do you got coming out next, Kevin?
Yeah, no, just basically a lot of bucket coverage this week, basketball coverage, all types of good stuff. So just kind of keep it. We're on the grind as far as that's concerned, and maybe looking into some NCAA stuff in Indiana in March as well, with regards to possible sites and possible formats. So keep tuning all that stuff.
The high school season, we're kind of just finished up football and in the start of the high school basketball season, but we're also entering into Christmas time and the holidays, so it'd be kind of a slow for that. And Indiana, they play tomorrow night on the road in Tallahassee in the Big Ten ACC Challenge, and come back home Sundays at North Alabama, I think, on Sunday to get a non-con game in, which something they could certainly use. And they're not going to have Joy Brunk. They're not going to have – I haven't seen it yet. I Al Durham. I don't know that he is playing tomorrow night, but I haven't seen that yet. Have you seen anything on that?
No, we're going to get Archie later this afternoon, though. So I am sure that's one of the questions we'll be able to ask. So I just looked this up because we were talking about Kane Womack. Will Hall was just introduced as the new Southern Miss head coach, and that was kind of a job that he was connected to. But South Alabama is open, and that's where he worked also. So that it's going to be an interesting offseason. Like I said, on Louisiana Monroe, another school in the Southeast, has a coach opening. So it's going to be interesting to see, what direction Kane Womack wants to go, if he wants to and will be a candidate for some of those, lower level FBS head coaching jobs, or you stay in Indiana, continue to build your reputation, and do you, if you're Indiana, do you pony up and increase his salary, which is in about the $500,000 range?
Yeah, I mean he's not doing bad in that regard, but when you compare him to other elite programs, Indiana is going to have to start paying elite salaries if you want to keep Tom Allen, which I'm not saying that he's not someone that I expect to go anywhere. He truly loves the program and what he's built, and he's an Indiana guy, but you got to treat him fair as well. I mean, there's too many other people that are in the Big Ten that are making a lot more money than he is and are not winning like he is. So, but that comes up. That happens. That's a good problem to have, and that's what you want to have, because that means you have success. Kane Womack, he's only 33, so that's. I don't know that he's. I'm not. It's not for me to say whether he's ready or not ready to be a head coach, but I would think that you'd sure want to see somebody do something for a little bit longer than 1 year. And gain that experience. And I think that he would want to stay for a little bit before he strikes out on his own. But I'll tell you another name that really should be rolling off of people's tongues. Kalen DeBoer. Left Indiana, went back out to Fresno. He's a guy that does nothing but wins wherever he goes. Yeah,
that's going to be interesting to see. I would think that, maybe if there's some turnover in the Pac-12 at some schools, that would be his next step. He could he's established out there in Fresno, and he's got some West Coast ties. And we saw the kind of offense that he ran last year. I think he would come in and provide a spark. So he's a guy that'll be, I think, on the radar for some jobs as well. But it's amazing how, listen, last year, Kane Womack, if you remember Tom Allen arguing with him on the sidelines, I think he kind of took his lumps last year as a defensive coordinator, learned from it. But also having those 9 defensive starters back. And I remember even writing about that in the preseason and all the talk about just how much more connected they were and they felt. And it's really showing on the field. And, Micah McFadden, he's a guy I'm going to write about this week as well. Just his cerebral ability and his ability to, sniff things out and make the calls on defense, I think has had a huge impact on the defense this year as well.
Yeah, a 3-star. You talk about player development. There's a 3-star that they bring in, and one of the things that I think it was his dad that asked Tom Allen, does he have a legitimate shot to even play at this level? Yeah, he's one of the best linebackers in the country now. So he's probably going to end up playing on Sundays. I mean, you can't predict how that goes, but he's heading in that's the kind of season he's having, that his growth, he's getting to that point. Man. And there's going to be quite a few of those guys that'll be playing on Sundays off of these teams, more so obviously than from the past.
Yeah, and I think that's the thing, that the talent level and development, like you said, and you got to keep it going through recruiting. I mean, I think it's interesting. I think that the window with this group, this current group, like I said, is 2 or 3 years. But who's to say that a guy like DeMarge Lewis, who we heard a lot about, but hasn't seen the field yet really consistently, he doesn't emerge in 2 or 3 years and become that guy. But you got to keep doing it. You got to keep it, I think, the pipeline through the recruiting and the development, and Tom Allen and his ties and getting a lot of those, players from the Southeast that are athletic. And he's starting to get bigger guys too. I mean, I think that's the one, Ohio State exposed that, let's be honest, in that game about Indiana's defense in terms of, just being a little undersized compared to the really, really big boys. But they are quick. They are an athletic defense. And, you start to get a little more size to go with it and get those really big, fast guys, and you've got really something special.
Yeah, absolutely. And I just saw that. I didn't. I've been out for a while, but former Purdue coach Fred Akers passed away. That was been out for a while, so I didn't see that. Though our condolences to those guys. But I remember back in the day, uh, he was Jim Everett's coach, wasn't he?
Yeah, how about that? Jim Everett and Jim Rome, as we all remember back in the day.
Oh man, that was one of the fun times. Oh yeah, call me Jamie one more time. What did he say? Call me Jamie one more time, or what was it?
Chris, you called him Chris Everett.
Chris Everett, yeah.
Knocked him over on the chair, made Jim Rome's career.
Something had to. Man, that's one person I can't, no matter what, I can't find any value to listen to that show. That never have. I mean, not for a second. I can't turn it off fast enough if I hear that dude's voice. Don't know why, it just is, man.
You know, he really evolved, though. I remember listening about 20 years ago when I was living in Fort Walton Beach. And I will say this about Jim Rome. He's a very good interviewer. He's an excellent interviewer. He really gets into the depth of his subjects very well. I think he, coming from that, notorious situation with Jim Everett, I think he took that opportunity and he ran with it a little bit because he had I don't know how good he is now. I haven't listened to him recently, but I remember listening to it 10 or 20 years ago, and he does have, and he had his jingo and his shtick or whatever, that California thing, and in terms of his language or whatever. But
I don't even know what we're talking about, Jim Rome. That's a waste of time. Hey, getting back to these assistants, and that's going to happen. We're talking. People are going to start coming at them and all that stuff, and that's the problem that you want to have because that's when you have success when they're coming to you. Indiana is not exactly a destination job yet. Can it become that way? Yeah, it's in the Big Ten. It's in a destination conference. But once you're in a conference like that, there's only so many jobs above that. Once you get there, if this continues to develop where it's going right now with Tom Allen.
Yeah, and listen, I think you have to fight the basketball stigma. It's going to be there. Listen, I came from Florida, and it was interesting when you Chronic brought up the attendance situation, and that to me is going to be fascinating. I think the next couple of years, when the crowds open back up, are they going to fill it? Even though this product has been great, and I covered a Florida basketball team that won back-to-back championships in 06 and 07. And the following year, they didn't fill the O'Connell Center for all their games, and it's a 12,000-seat arena after winning 2 back-to-back national championships. So sometimes there is this.
It's a lot easier to fill a basketball arena than it is a football stadium.
Yeah, but sometimes there is an ingrained culture within the state. Florida is a football state. Indiana is a basketball state. So I'm gonna be fascinated to see. You'd like to think that next year every game should be a sellout at a 55,000 seat football stadium, but it's not fait accompli. It's not a guarantee, and it's going to be on, I think, the marketing department of the school as well to really try to take advantage of this momentum and really, squeeze every last dollar they can out of this product, this football product that Tom Allen has created that, is obviously taking Indiana football to new heights.
Yeah, and it's going to be back in the day. Back when Coach Mallory had it going on, it was full. Now they didn't have the ends in there. Now it was a different stadium configuration, but it would fill up for the bigger games, of course. And of course, Ohio State and Michigan would help that. Now, next year, you're going to have an Ohio State home game. That could potentially be a college game day situation if Indiana's success continues to move forward. That would be big.
You say fill up for the bigger games, though, but here's what you're facing. You're facing Ohio State and Michigan and Penn State, where they fill up for every game, even the Louis. That's what you're facing, and that's what Indiana right now they have to take advantage of. You have to fill up for every game. It's not good enough to fill up for the bigger games. You fill up for every game, every conference game. This program deserves it. Trust me, with what they've done this year and coming into next year. And now you got to keep the momentum too. You got to keep winning and keep being competitive. But if you do that, the fans should be able to come and they should be able to fill that stadium.
Yeah, it's a real cool looking stadium now. The way that they have closed it in, it's good looking. It's convenient. They don't really have parking issues. You've got parking on 3 sides. So it's not a situation that's bad. Getting here is not bad. So there's no reason that it should not be, because now you cannot say that the product is not good. The product is excellent. And looking forward to it. We'll see what they do. But let's take a quick break, come back and finish the show more. Kevin Brockway sitting in with us right now from CNHI Papers. You're listening to Indiana Sports Beat. We're coming to you from the Golf Club at Eagle Point Studios. Back with more right after this.
Hello, everybody. Jim Coyle from Indiana Sports Beat. When I'm not covering the Hoosiers, you can find me at Bubba's 33 in Clarksville, located on the northeast corner of I-65 at Veterans Parkway. Bubba's 33 has hand-tossed pizzas, bold burgers, and ice-cold beer from a select list of local craft brewers. An incredible food selection, all made fresh daily. Whether you're meeting the team for that post-win meal in the family dining area or meeting friends for happy hour to watch the game on one of Bubba's 50 TVs. Bubba's 33 in Clarksville. Pizza, burgers, beer.
We all want a winning smile for those championship photos, and that's exactly what you will get at Reynolds Family Dentistry in Sellersburg. Reynolds Family Dentistry has been serving the dental needs of Hoosier families for over 30 years. Let Doctors Roger and Jay Reynolds take care of your family. Just off of I-65 at 809 South Indiana Avenue in Sellersburg. Call 812-246-3368. That's Reynolds Family Dentistry, 812-246-3368.
Hey, this is Jim Coyle with Indiana Sports Beat Radio. We're now a part of the Rivals Network. TheHoosier.com is where you'll find complete coverage of the Indiana Hoosiers, as well as coverage of the Big Ten. Simply go to TheHoosier.com and sign up. It's free. You can also catch Indiana Sports Beat Radio there each day at your convenience, or you can find it any place you podcast or on this station each weekday. If we're not on the station where you live, we should be. Ask for Indiana Sports Beat Radio. Now that warm weather has arrived, it's time to hit the links, and there's no better place than the Golf Club at Eagle Point in Bloomington. Voted best golf course by the readers of the Bloomington Herald-Times, the Golf Club at Eagle Point is under new ownership, has new fairways and bunkers, and it's open to the public. When the round's over, there's cold beer and a full menu at the Eagle Point Pub and Bistro. Call 812-824-1100 to make a tee time. That's 812-824-1100. The Golf Club at Eagle Point in Bloomington.
Does your bank offer the personal service of a community bank combined with big bank products that you expect? I'm Dane Chandler, Banking Center Manager with Banterra, and with our bank, you get the best of both worlds. Our easy-to-use mobile app includes conveniences like mobile check deposit. We offer competitive CD and money market rates, smart mortgage options, and unmatched business products and services. Switching to Banterra is easy. Stop by our locations to learn more. Member FDIC, Equal Housing Lender.
The college and pro football seasons bring friends together, and Leroy's Tavern is a place to watch all the games every week with the NFL Sunday Ticket while enjoying $1 Busch Light drafts every Sunday, Monday, and Thursday. Leroy's Tavern also features a $6 daily lunch special from 10:30 a.m. to 1 p.m. Monday through Friday, featuring a sandwich, fries, or onion rings, or a 7-inch pizza and a non-alcoholic drink for just $6. Be part of the karaoke fun every Friday and Saturday night. Leroy's Tavern, a West Side tradition for 50 years at 2659 Mount Vernon Avenue.
This segment is brought to you by Bubba's 33 in Clarksville. Pizza, burgers, beer. Welcome back to Indiana Sports Beat, coming to you from the Golf Club Eagle Point Studios here on this Tuesday. Kevin Brockway from CNHI sitting in with me. Jim Coyle here as always. Some games tonight, Kevin, I mentioned earlier, or actually here in a little while. Creighton and Kansas at Kansas starts at 5 o'clock. Here on this non-holiday Tuesday. Colorado is at Tennessee. That one starts at 6. And then some normal games. The Buckeyes at Notre Dame. There's a Big Ten ACC Challenge game. Then North Carolina is at Iowa. 7:30. Penn State at Virginia Tech at 9. Illinois at Duke at 9:30. And Syracuse is at Rutgers at 9:30 tonight, too. So quite a few Big Ten ACC Challenge games on tap tonight. Louisville, Wisconsin canceled. And speaking of Louisville, how about their NCAA troubles are coming home to roost right now as they're in the midst of their response. It looked like the NCAA pretty much just said, nah, no thank you to all of their responses.
Yeah, and, there's always that interesting argument about, the players that are there shouldn't have to pay for the past sins and so forth. My response to that is caveat emptor, buyer beware. If you are being recruited by a school that is in trouble by the NCAA, what are you doing going there? You have eyes, you have ears. We're in an information age now. You should know going into it the potential of what can happen in terms of penalties. So I don't necessarily feel these kids are victims or whatever, because they should have known going in that they were being recruited by a school that was under an NCAA investigation, and they have to live with the consequences of
that. Oh, absolutely. And what I've been surprised about is that Chris Mack's been able to still do an okay job recruiting there with that hanging over your head. I just saw a commitment from a 2022 kid from Indiana, as a matter of fact. So just amazing to me that has not just stopped that.
Yeah, you would think, but it'll be interesting to see now at this end if there is a postseason ban for a year or two, if all of a sudden we see these maybe some of these guys either decommit or ask out their letters of intent. That's going to be an interesting process the next couple of years if Louisville really gets hammered.
Well, I don't see how they escape it. I've been saying it since it happened. You cannot commit major violations while you're on probation for committing major violations and not expect to get hammered. They're gonna get it, and they are, and they should, because if you don't, then the NCAA has zero teeth, which that's a whole nother bag I don't want to open up. But because you've got all these other cases that are going to be following behind it, all the FBI investigations and all these schools, Auburn and all, Sean Miller out in Arizona, and Bill Self at Kansas. You got a lot of cases that are behind this. They've got to do, and Louisville's probably the most egregious example of all of them.
Yep. SMU, right? Pony Excess back in the day, they gave them the death penalty. I don't think they'll go to that extreme to Louisville, but when you commit violations on probations, there should be some serious consequences for sure.
And there will be. We'll see how that turns out. But because they've got Louisville's a team one of those teams that dips into the state of Indiana for basketball recruiting successfully. Like I said, I just saw a commitment the other day from one of the 2022 kids, but that probably will. Well, to be quite honest with you, this is why Romeo Langford played at Indiana. He was gone to Louisville until Rick Pitino got pinched. That is why, and only why, Romeo Langford ended up in Indiana.
Yeah, and of course, maybe Trey Kaufman too probably was swayed away from, being a kid from Sellersburg, swayed away from Louisville, and decided to go to, a place like Purdue because of the fact that, he didn't want a part of that either. So it's interesting, Jim. So, hey, I tweeted this out yesterday, 4 programs that have played through the first 7 weeks uninterrupted. Indiana's 1. What are the other 3?
Iowa.
Okay.
Northwestern?
Nope.
No. Doug. Illinois?
Nope.
No, they had one canceled. But I know Purdue has. Let's see. Rutgers? No, they had.
Rutgers. Yep, you got Rutgers right. Yeah.
I know Maryland had their game with Ohio State canceled. Michigan obviously had one canceled. Michigan State had one canceled. Who am I missing? I know Wisconsin has. Minnesota did. Who am I missing over there? I already said Iowa.
Penn State.
Penn State. Penn State.
The Nittany Lions, the mighty Nittany Lions. So
didn't help them out much.
Yeah.
It exposed them more than anything.
Oh, yeah, no, but it's probably been invaluable for a program like Rutgers to get 7 games in, and they're 2-4, 2-5, and we're in a few games, and the development piece for them, I'm sure, is going to go a long way too. I think for a lot of these teams that have been traditionally down, just getting those reps of getting that live game action has certainly helped.
Absolutely. I was talking earlier about potential coaching changes, and Dustin Schutte with Saturday Tradition, he comes on here on Thursdays. He tweeted one out, and I said, "Oh man, you are not going to be popular on here Thursday." But he talked about Kalen DeBoer. He said, "If I'm Michigan, you got to talk to Kalen DeBoer, who's actually from South Dakota. He's from up in that area. His ties are actually closer back here, but he had great success there." And then he mentioned you got Mike Hart and Nick Sheridan, both of which through the Michigan pipeline. Of course, Mike Hart, the all-time leading rusher for Michigan. That would be a scenario that you Indiana fans would not want to see happen.
You get your coaching staff gutted, but hey, that's kind of the nature of the beast. And I think the interesting thing with Nick Sheridan is I think he's going through some of the growing pains as a coordinator that Kane Womack went through last year. So I think if Nick Sheridan returns next year with what he's learned in his second year, I think he has a chance to really take a step forward too. If he has that same dedication as well, but it comes down to players as well. But I think it'll be interesting to see if Nick Sheridan stays for next year, which most indications are he will. The kind of growth he makes as a coordinator in year two, and if it's similar to the growth that I think Kane Womack has made as a coordinator this year.
Yeah, I wouldn't see him leaving after this year. I wouldn't think your rookie year, but who knows? I mean, you take whatever opportunities come along a lot of the times, but he's paid pretty well. I mean, both the coordinators make $500,000 a year. I'll take it.
Yeah, but nowadays you have coordinators making $1 million, $2 million. Ty Grantham at Florida makes $2 million a year. They want to run him out of town now because they think he's terrible, but because their defense has underperformed this year, and they think that it's going to be exposed in the SEC title game against Alabama. But it's monopoly money. It's crazy. But I mean, you spelled out the scenario where Sheridan could go to Michigan. So, but fingers crossed. I don't know. Do you think Kalen DeBoer would be ready for Michigan? Or do you think you need a little more time there?
I think he would. Is he going to do a worse job than what they've had? I don't think that you could put a worse product on the field than's been on there for them the last couple of years. They've not won. I mean, they win, but they don't beat. They only beat the teams they're supposed to beat. They're not beating the teams that they could beat. So I don't think he could do any worse. Why would you? The offense has been atrocious at Michigan, and that's what he is a specialist in. Head coach, he's probably, would he be a better offensive coordinator for him? Of course, he would turn it around as an offensive coordinator, but I think he could do the job. But of course, Michigan is a machine. That's a big program where it's, when you talked about Michigan and Penn State and Ohio State and those 100,000 seat stadiums, and when you sell those out every game, the money that comes in, that's just a juggernaut of a machine. Those are companies. Those are big time Fortune 500 companies with the amount of money those programs bring in, and that also brings those kind of headaches. So, I mean, it's a good question. I don't know if he would be ready or not, but you would think. But I would certainly take a shot at it because you can't do worse than you are right now.
Yeah, it's amazing. There's a parlance, winning games versus winning the press conference, right? So Indiana, when they hired Tom Allen, he was kind of a no-name guy, high school coach, right? Lifelong coordinator, no head coaching experience. So everyone is like, who is this guy? And it turned out to be, in hindsight, a really terrific hire by Fred Glass. But you're not winning the press conference with that hire. You wouldn't be winning the press conference with a Kalen DeBoer hire in Michigan. They'd be wondering, who is this guy? We need the big name. But as it turns out, maybe it would be the smartest hire that they could make.
Yeah, and you kind of want to give Fred Glass credit for this hire, but there's no way. You're not going to tell me he saw this coming. If he did, then why the hell didn't he hire a basketball coach that does the same thing in that amount of time? So it's a good, lucky hire. It worked out. But Tom Allen's just different, man. He's unique, and he's doing it in a unique way, and it's so fun to watch. And all those videos, Indiana does a great job putting those videos out because, man, you watch those, and it's hard not to feel it. It's great because it's genuine and it's true, and it's fun to watch those kids feel that. I mean, I'm sure there's several of those kids on there who may not have father figures. And, of course, you see that in sports all the time, but it's just awesome to see.
Well, I'm sure the things that Tom Allen sold in the interview process were, building the family atmosphere, which is what he's done, coming off the Kevin Wilson scandal. And also, his recruiting ties in the Southeast and the fact that he is an Indiana guy, grew up in Indiana, loves the state, loves the – wants to be here for a long period of time, wants to build it. I think those three things probably sold him to Fred Glass, and it's worked out now so far. It's worked out really well, and he's got the extension, he's got the program where he wants it. But we know college football is fickle. You got to keep building it. I mean, PJ Fleck was the man of the hour last year, and Minnesota unraveled quickly. I mean, you really have to stay diligent and keep on it to keep a program like Indiana at a high level of success.
But I appreciate you joining us. And Brock, make sure you follow him from CNH Dive Papers. Give him a follow. Big shout out again to Mike DeCourcy and Chronic Hoosier as well. Tomorrow, Jordan Hulls, Kyle Nedenrip, and Dustin DePierre will be on. So look forward to that as we'll preview Indiana taking on Florida State. Kevin, I hope you go out and have a great day, man.
All right, thank you.
Appreciate you, everybody else. Appreciate everybody. Make sure you please go out and do something nice for somebody. Wear your mask. And until tomorrow, I'm Jim Coyle. I'll see you on the radio.